into this, trying to get a few more points, you start to think, well, I've got to slow down these teams that are running away with it at the start. Do you try and put some pressure on Team Diazbiffle? I can never recommend that being a good idea with how good that duo is, but you've also got to consider that if the leaderboard freezes in 2 games time, you are not in the money right now. You're not in a position that you want to be in. So you don't want that clock to end. You want to keep it running. And at some point, you've got to change up your strategy and perhaps, again, put some pressure on that Diazbiffle squad.
Well, it's time for game number 4. So, Tiff, we'll bid you farewell for now. Enigma, let's hop into the game and see what's happening, because game number 4 is an important one, albeit it's not that important for Biffle and Shifty. They technically only need 1 kill. If they get insta-wiped off the rip, one of them needs to win the Gulag, and they've done it. So I really do want to check out a lot of our other teams to see where they're at, especially the teams inside the top 10 already that are trying to breach that 100-point threshold as well. Team Intex, Noobs, Breadman, Picnic Basket, even Mirek and Goat Clamp, right? They won that last map. They're in 6th place overall at 39.2 points. Not close to 100 yet, but they need to get closer. All right, so we'll tune in to Biffle and Shifty when we can, but really all they need is 1. Once they have 1, we don't really care where they go from here. Let's check out a couple of our other teams inside the top 10.
Loot this and take the chopper to you, because maybe those
Noobs here, this is the squad sitting in 3rd currently on 44.8 points. You are indeed hearing that correctly. That is indeed the gap currently between the top 3 teams. It is absurd, but right now, if you're Tommy and Noobs, it's been a solid afternoon, but I know, I spoke to Tommy after the World Series of Warzone. They did well at the World Series of Warzone. Took home a chunk of cheddar, and Tommy was furious that he hadn't won it. Furious that his team hadn't come out on top. So I know the competitive blood that runs in that boy's veins. He will be doing absolutely everything to come out on top, despite being up against it right now.
Yeah, and again, Ray, like, I think our pricing breakdown is really important to remember. It's $25,000 for first, and it's not 100% assured for Biffle and Shifty like it usually is at moments like this. When you think about traditional tournaments, you have a certain amount of drops and you're up by 50, 60, 70. Like, they've already won and you can just count them out. That's not how this tournament format works, but they still have the best chance. As we take a look at Blade and Vortex, they've spotted one here in Observatory. This has been their landing spot time and time again through World Series of Warzone, and they would love to take over this POI, wipe everyone from it so they're not getting shot in the back. And, well, I think that might be exactly what just happened, albeit Vortex does trade for 1.
It does, but if you're Blade, you're pretty annoyed about that. It looked like a really good position. Blade essentially on top of Central Building, a really good lookout spot over the top of Observatory, an area that if they've been landing a lot, they know very well and want to build from. So frustrating to get shot in the back and end up trading 1 for 1. You do not want to be using that Gulag up early. Entry kits are banned, so it's your one and only chance, unless you manage to find some reinforcement flares down the line. Redman putting that chopper to use, and this is something that we've spoken about a bit throughout the life cycle of Warzone. In Warzone 1, you saw a lot more of it. Warzone 2, not so much, but using choppers to traverse the map, you can see that that circle's quite northern, particularly northeastern, and if you're a team that likes to land away from that area, you've got a hell of a rotation on, unless you can avoid all the problems and all the check marks by doing exactly this. Bring a chopper in and put yourself somewhere central circle where you want to be.
Yeah, it's a great breakdown, and I think especially with the kind of exclusivity of how many choppers are on the map, there's really not that many. So if you can get one early, you can even land outside, way outside the zone to grab it, loot up, get your loadout, then fly in, and you get some information like this. You can kind of fly over the masses with a UAV and see where a lot of people are. This is a massive information gathering tool as long as you can do it safely, and so far so good for that duo. So likely you will see them towards near the end of the end game here, potentially inside the top 10, getting some of those multipliers and hopefully some kills to boot, but still a long way to go for that. As we check in with some of our other teams, seemingly Booyah and Swagg in trouble, and well, Booyah gets slammed and they are out of this lobby, having already been to the Gulag. They're gone.
They are indeed, and it's not been a great afternoon for them so far. I unintentionally called them out in the last map, and Booyah stepped it up and put 4 on the table, but this time it's not going to happen. Smixy, comms are coming in, getting pushed while down. Echo's going to try and provide cover. The Semtex will follow up and down her again and trying to bring the comms in, but there's 2 players. Echo's got a job on and deletes both. How on earth did Sultify and Enxian, manage to not see that situation through? Echo was in so much trouble. It looks like there's more people here.
Job's not done, and every single time we come to this perspective, Smixy or Echo are in trouble. They're always in a blender. They've been non-stop trying to fight teams, and albeit Echo has some heroic plays to win the 1v2, it's the third party that gets the better of him, and I think that was a classic stacking problem. The two players stacked right in front of one or the other, both looking to shoot through the window, and sure, TTK dramatically decreased, but all it takes is some headshots and carve through both of you in one clip, and I think that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, third party, though, makes it difficult. Now, into the gulag, and again, if they go out here, it almost doesn't matter. They've already grabbed their 1 kill. They're going to be on match point in the next lobby, but they would like to win this gulag, get back into the lobby, and hopefully continue to rack up this tally. Because again, like I said before, Enigma, if they get up to 150, 60, 70, 180 points potentially, still having not yet been able to win a map, at the very least, if somebody else creeps beyond that 100-point threshold and wins and takes the win from them, they're 100% going to be assuredly getting second. So something they still want to do is get kills.
Yeah, definitely. As you said earlier, it typically in traditional Warzone formats, you would almost put every cent on Biffle and Shifty coming out on top, but there's every opportunity for them to still lose this despite their sizable advantage. So you're right, the worst case scenario for them wants to be second at this point at least, and we speak so often about these boys positioning, and Shifty now on top of a roof overlooking this entire POI of Zarqwa and raining shots down. Casual 363 AR bullets in the pocket and scouring for more targets.
They smoked this.
Yeah, they're just trying to get some information, talking a little bit back and forth about what they're seeing, where they could go from here. Again, I think Shifty, certainly the IGL, but something this team always does well, whether it's duos or trios, they talk to each other and make decisions together, especially when they're not under kind of panic. In panic, they listen to one, but when there's some room to work, they have some conversations and then make a decision together. So a huge boon to a good kind of high chemistry team. You often see that with the likes of TBE as well. But as we swap over back to Blade and Vortex, they've been pushed out of Observatory down here near Hydro and kind of just looking for their next prey or potentially the next place that they want to hold down. They're a little bit split from each other, which is a little bit uncharacteristic in duos, especially if you're trying to kind of creep up this leaderboard and you're not inside the top 10 already. Be curious to see where they go from here.
Well, this duo of the World Series of Warzone European champions last year, and generally speaking, that trio of Blade, Vortex, and Savvy Ultras, there's been a lot of questions asked of them this year. You know, they do really well last year in the World Series of Warzone, managing to win it by half a point, and then Blade also picks up the solo YOLO, which is a heck of an afternoon if you're an individual there. But other than that, the results aren't that great, and we've a lot of questions. You know, did you peak? Was that all you really had to offer? They want to see some more out of them. They had a really good stage 2 in the World Series this year, but then floundered a little bit when it came to stage 1 as well as the finals. So looking to see if them two can really get involved and make a statement today. And speaking of statements, Breadman's just raining hellfire on whichever poor soul is over the other side of this desert.
This reminds me, I've been making some hunting references recently, and we always talk about duck hunt and things like that. This is like big game hunting with like an elephant rifle. I mean, you're shooting so far away that if you're almost just praying that you connect by leading these bullets by you know, several feet in front of the person that's running. And it was a great effort there from Brad, but let's get into the action here as it's Dania and Glory do find Slack. Slack and Apathy have been in a blender all day today and have yet to kind of win a big encounter on main stage, just being chased by multiple teams, and again lose another one. Danny on top. That's one now for them, and Glory and Danny trying to figure out what they want to spend their money on at this free buy station now that they own it.
I think the thing with Slack and Apathy is, yeah, the one big moment I can think of this afternoon is when they were escaping an opponent.
That's
they
right.
haven't done very well in terms of winning things, and well, that we actually haven't. Oh, Adrian in big trouble. Does he get shot in the back? Was that the teammate there? Well, change on over to Clamp, and Clamp here, part of that Mexican squad. And there's a story I always feel like bringing up when I talk about these Mexican sides, and that is I once casted a LAN in Amsterdam, and Panda flew on over from Mexico to take part in that LAN to prove himself, and in that manages to win the tournament, but doesn't make enough money back to even cover and profit on the plane ticket. just to show how committed this community is towards proving themselves and going the extra mile to really make statements. I really love seeing them put up numbers. And Clamp here with Mirre, an opportunity to really do that today. We've seen Clamp involved in some engagements already. Can they get themselves deeper into that money?
Yeah, and again, they won the last map, being the last remaining duo, and they are in 6th place because of it at 39.2 points. So certainly a nice little score line to be inside the top 10. You're assuredly making money if it closes out sometime soon from Biffle & Co. But again, trying to breach that 100-point threshold. But back over here to Oakley Boy, and they've dropped down a little bit, I believe, to 5th place. Actually tied technically with Mirre, I think winning that tiebreaker on the leaderboard. And they are way out here in the deserts, and there's several vehicles people are picking up to kind of rotate in. It looks like there might be one more that they should be going for here to rotate in and make sure they have at least a semblance of cover to traverse these wide open spaces.
I've never actually like
It's quite often on these wide open spaces where teams are getting picked off, flicking through the feeds. While I was sat in the back earlier, some teams are just getting caught out in these spots. Little cover available. You can see there's some vehicles nearby that could perhaps put to use if they can get to them, but otherwise it's a very difficult spot to be sat in right now. And leaving in text, this is one of our squads very much so involved in the money. 2nd place currently, although 52.6 points before this map, and that's a down there on Queen, and picking up bullets on the 2nd as well. 2nd place surely not getting away for very long. The one thing to be very careful of here, if you are in text and believe, is that the stronghold is active nearby. Big risk of being picked up on that UAV and third party.
It's a great shout. It is usually the signal flare, as it were, the proverbial signal flare that once you grab a knock, you push the equation. There's only one other player. You've got player advantage, but you're right. Likely going to be a third party. So you've picked up the team wipe. You close it out quickly, which is good news. You can prepare yourself if a team elects to push you from the outskirts of the circle. Now, they already are outside of zone, so likely they've given themselves some position to be able to hold this spot and then Oh, no! Oh, I had a nice point there, but it is gone, splattered with the likes of Oakley Boy. As Picnic goes down from the vehicle too. OP Marked is on a tear using the vehicle. Are you kidding me? The double splatter. Luckily, Oakley Boy's got a self-revive, and I think he's going to shoot out the tires. This is some sort of semblance of an action movie that we're watching right now. This is ridiculous.
I mean, you don't see it too often. We've spoken about how great vehicles can be as an escape tool, as a traversal tool. Well, it turns out they're for offensive warfare as well. Oak Boy here just hoping not to be turned into roadkill, slipping, sliding, trying to use the smokes, and he will be out of here. Shaded step, no P mugged. Driving a team out of the lobby. And that is something that we actually saw in the World Series, by the way. Team FIFA Kill well on their way to winning map 6. They had a ridiculous number of kills. Could have seen them propulsed way up the leaderboard. And they get splatted by a team that were in 3 running around in Jeeps the whole time. So it can be effective. I don't know how happy people are, though, when they get run over.
I mean, that was the most coordinated 2-vehicle effort. They were like moving. They've done this before. They have to. OP Mark Shaded Step. They run around with vehicles together, I guess, and practice that, because that was the most coordinated vehicle, kind of like it felt like a chess game. Like he was trying to dodge out of the way, but every move you made, you were getting backed into a corner. Oh my gosh. The smokes also, you can't really dodge vehicles if there's a smoke, but I do respect the play. Trying to use the mini map. Okay. Back onto the action though. Brett has not left his sniper's perch. Just trying to get a few picks. And I don't know which is better, the vehicle gameplay or 500-meter snipes, but I'd love to see maybe a little bit of both.
I definitely want to see the 500-meter snipes come on in, but my question at this point, Joewo's been up here for what feels like an eternity, essentially has a house share on this tower. But 1 kill. I don't know how many of these Joewo is managing to finish off. I'm assuming not too many, considering that Redman's essentially shooting at something far out. Joewo's reach. Never mind. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Redman tells me to shut my mouth and also eliminates Lennon from the lobby and potentially another one right here.
Okay.
Don't do it.
2 things that are going on right now. I'm sure that was OP Marked or Shaded Step that were down in that vehicle, jumped out and shot a Joker up at this helicopter, which then made the helicopter flying, the helicopter pilot bail out of the helicopter. Brett cleans up one on Lennon. I think Joewo was credited that kill technically. This is chaos. I have not seen customs gameplay like this in a very long time.
It's certainly been a different afternoon, different format, different playstyles, I suppose. Of course, Biffle and Shifty are still alive, because why wouldn't they be? All the UAVs in the world providing all the information. And this is one of the things as well. This is a scary moment when Biffle and Shifty have all the information and then they go, okay, this way. Because whichever team is at the other end of that direction is in big, big trouble.
Yeah, and by the way, Biffle's already on 5, looking at the Gulag closing. Is a little bit further along than he was last map. So don't worry, they've reached the 100-point threshold, but the tournament cannot be ended this map. They're just kind of increasing that scoreline to make it harder for anybody to try to take over if it comes down to it. We'll see. But tuning in with some of our other teams inside the top 10, pushing towards the 100-point threshold. Mirai, Goat Clamp, again, one last map. Inside the top 10, currently tied for 5th. Comms are flying, and right now, Enigma playing edge of zone, but this building is inside of zone. So as long as they clear the POI, which it looks like they are able to, or at least the building, several resources to use, but we swing over to the action, and Biffle's taking out Believe.
Yeah, believe in Intex at the other end of that direction that Shifty and Biffle decided to go. And one of the things about that call that Shifty and Biffle made, by the way, was just essentially patrol the edge of zone. Anyone running on in, they're just going to set up, get themselves on the headies. And if you're looking at, oh my goodness me. You see the gun poke through the floor there. I think it caught everyone by surprise, including me. Well, I guess how do you play that? Well, yeah, you got to be very careful, first of all, of mines that can't be shot out. You can destroy, but I wouldn't do it from that distance, and I guess not.
I think that's their teammates. I'm not sure. But a mortar strike on top of them is bad news, at least for the team above them. But they're on edge of zone. They're about to have to run through some wide open spaces and some buildings, and you hear the aggressive comms come through of it's now time to go, go now, go now. And I actually like this rotation a lot, called out from Glory, to rotate with the wall so they can get a little bit of an advantageous position to get to the zip line. The question is, will they get shot out? No, I think they're just coming in so late that no one's looking at them. They might be able to make it to some high ground in zone. This is a great rotation.
It is very risky, but could very well pay off. They've picked their target. They will land cleanly on it. There's a bunch of loadouts here as well, so that's opportunity to pick up players that are coming on in. But actually, Glory's been picked up. Not exactly sure where from. I don't think Annie understands where from either. Smoke goes out. Res should come in, but surely there's a team flying at this location. Won't matter. The res comes on through, but that's a burning of 3 plates that you don't need right now, and there is indeed company underneath.
Well, quick note from production is that Intech's team has been full wipe. They were in 2nd place overall, by the way, going into this map. So a big miss from them. I wonder how many points they had. It certainly wasn't enough to get to 100, but at least creeping towards it. The question is, who's going to potentially supplant them for 2nd place? They can win this map. Mirai, Goat Clamp could be that team. And tied for 5th. On edge of zone, a little bit of a gas mask to boot, but they're going to be fighting Dania and Glory on the other side and getting shot from another angle as well. There's going to be a lot of teams here. There's 17 teams remaining, Enigma. Still plenty of room to work with from players' standpoint to get to that big multiplier. 1.6 is top 10. You need 7 teams to fall.
A lot of teams, not a lot of zone, and in particular, when that zone moves next, it is a very open area, so teams here perhaps want to consider early rotations towards the few edges of buildings that are in the zone. But at the same time, there's probably a lot of people sat in windows right now thinking the exact same thing and looking to catch them on rotation. We're on board with Shifty and Biffle, so whatever call they make is definitely correct. Ignore whatever I'm going to say, because these boys understand this game far better than I could ever hope to. But right now, Shifty's nervous about something. I'm guessing someone's underneath him. Biffle,
I cracked that guy.
let down by the loadout. Is he under pressure, or is he just chilling for a minute?
About the same skin.
He might just be chilling for a second. I mean, look at this next zone, though. There is not a lot of cover, especially on their side. And doesn't look like a vehicle now to grab since the gas has collapsed. They're going to have to create an opening somewhere along the way. And I think the read is that there might be a team in this building still. I think this is the reason Shifty's waiting. I think there might be a team in this building still that he's trying to hold out from. And Biffle's moved in. Shifty trying to play backup, but we're going to tune in over to Aydan and Adrian, and there it is. Shifty was right. There was somebody in zone, and he just outweighted them. The patient play, the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise wins out. The problem is the tortoise is going to get shot on the way in. He's going to lose his life in the process. There was an even slower tortoise still inside the building somehow, probably a durable gas mask.
Well, that's what I was going to say there. Shifty, unfortunately, with only a standard gas mask, isn't able to stay in that zone for very long. So anyone who was underneath him and rocking a durable was just going to try and outwait, and it looks like that's the entire situation that unfolds. And, well, Aydan and Adrian here just hugging these dumpsters, trying to light up whoever's on top of that hill, because that is the strongest position right now. You could well be picked off from the other side of it because it slopes down over on that side of that mound, but Noobs and Tommy here, never mind, they have the sizable advantage. Couldn't see it because of the bounty that sat on the building, but looks like they've got themselves a little slab of cover. And Oak Boy taking a leaf out of Jukie's book from earlier, perhaps, and just finding somewhere to lie down. Pick up a couple of placement points. This is all about to explode. There are 7 teams, 11 players, a lot of solos. This is about to turn into hell.
Joewo Breadman, they outlasted. Will they survive the final fights to make top 5? They have found a few more eliminations along the way, and they've got high ground position. A nice zone pull for them as well, especially with the durable. Bread should be able to get there first and pick up a couple other teams that might try to rotate as well. He spots one. That's likely Aydan down below, down on the low ground. We'll see as another couple teams are on the left-hand side. Oakley's been trying to last to the top 5. I'm not sure if he did, but we're there. We're inside the massive multiplier. 4 teams remaining. This duo is standing out amongst the rest. We thought they were trolling from on top of the radio towers, but they have a chance to win it all in this map and drastically jump this leaderboard if they play it smart, and you know they will. These guys play with their brains. They're cognitive players. They pick off a couple floaters. They're going to be sitting pretty with a ton of points and a great position.
Well, Noobs is one of the players picked out of the sky, manages to pick up 3rd, and well, Aydan's trying to fly through the bag, gets scooped up though, and that will surely be, by the way, a huge game for Team Breadman, likely propulsing them up to 2nd in the leaderboard, especially considering how early some of those top teams go out. The only chance of that potentially not happening is depending on Noobs and Tommy's numbers.
Wow.
But Breadman and Co, you called it. It looked like they were trolling nice and early, trying to hit those 500-meter snipes. They come on through, take the victory, and it turns out it was just some genius plays out of those 2.
Yeah, genius plays, and then they got the zone rotation they wanted. Everybody else was in a disadvantage from the low ground position because of the zone pull. They were all going to have to move out into the open where Brett and Joe could see them, and then once they had the advantage, they pushed the advantage, played aggressive, won the fight. Only an 18-point game, and that's because of how slow they were moving at the beginning, and they only picked up about 3 or 4 at the end. But still, an 18-point game, not bad at all, especially when you're just trying to creep up the leaderboard. If Biffle and Shifty win next game, that's the tournament. So you want to make sure you're high enough inside the top 10 that you're walking away with a bit of cash. Tiff, talk to me about what you saw, because that's a big win for your man, Brad.
Look, that's a huge win, right? Just 18 points.